If you've been following the SoCHiology podcast since I launched it in 2021, you will be aware of the reverse psychology subseries, which is basically unpopular Chicago opinions from Chicago. You will also be aware of the SAT, the SoCHiology awareness test, where I quiz random Chicagoans about different questions in regards to Chicago history and culture. Well, this Black History Month, I'm introducing the ChicaGOATS sub-series. This is basically a Black Chicago history blitz that details and gives brief summaries of different Black Chicagoans that lived in our city and did great things in their respective careers and left a huge impact not on the city but on the entire world. So without further ado, let's get into it. From Harold Washington to Harold's Chicken and everything in between and beyond, this is SoCHiology. Like every other institution in this country, Black people have a deep friction with the medical care system. So it's no surprise that that's why Black people back then and now felt more comfortable going to Black doctors and Black hospitals. But what do you do when there's not many choices? You create your own. This episode is about the surgeon, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. Born on January 18, 1856 in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, his father, Daniel Williams Jr., was the son of a Scots-Irish woman and a Black barber. He was the fifth child, and he moved to Annapolis, Maryland, and shortly after, when he was 9, his father died of tuberculosis. He eventually began working as an apprentice to Dr. Henry W. Palmer, and he studied him for 2 years. In 1880, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams entered Chicago Medical College, which is now known as the Northwestern University Medical School. His education was paid for by none other, the ChicaGOAT, Mary Jane Richardson Jones. After he graduated in 1883, he opened his own medical office on the south side of Chicago. Despite having his own private practice, he was not allowed to work in a private hospital because at the time, Black people, Black doctors, could not work in private hospitals. So as a result, in 1891, he founded the Providence Hospital on Chicago's South Side, which was the first non-segregated hospital in the entire United States of America. But of course, the primary motivation for founding this hospital was for the Black residents of Chicago to increase their accessibility to healthcare. In 1893, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams became the first Black American on record to successfully perform heart surgery. This was 2 years after the first successful heart surgery was performed, period. He performed his surgery on a patient named James Cornish who was stabbed by a knife. And after he successfully removed the knife and healed the wound and drained the blood, after 50 days of hospital care, James Cornish was released and able to return home. Williams also established a training school for Black American nurses at Providence Hospital, and in 1897 he was appointed to the Illinois Department of Public Health, where he worked to raise medical and hospital standards, not just for Black Chicagoans, but for people of all races. Williams eventually became a professor of clinical surgery at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, and he was also the attending surgeon at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. He worked to create more hospitals that admitted Black Americans, and in 1895, he co-founded the National Medical Association for African American Doctors, and in 1913, he became a charter member and the only Black American doctor in the American College of Surgeons. On August 4th, 1931, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams became an ancestor and died in Idlewild, Michigan. He now rests at the Graceland Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois. But his pioneering vision and initiative to make medical care accessible for Black Chicagoans and Black Americans across this country is why Dr. Daniel Hale Williams is a ChicaGOAT. If you enjoyed this podcast, I ask for 2 things and I will love you forever. Number 1, please engage with us on social media. So like, share, subscribe, and comment on whatever platform you're listening to it on. And number 2, please make sure you pass it on to a friend who will enjoy it as well.